So there is a lot of freaky Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory fans out there. This original movie, and I'm probably speaking to some of you right now. I know JD's a fan, but not freakishly. I thought the movie was good. I've only seen it like once all the way through, but everybody was so excited that they were doing the bits from the book that they didn't do in the first movie, like the whole squirrel thing. And it's like, all right, was it better? No. Was it weird? Yes. But it was just kind of like more of the same, just not done as well as in the first movie. So they have all these weird moments, but it feels like we've got this big production in this Tim Burton land, and it's like Edward Scissorhands, but it doesn't really amount to anything. And I think people are nitpicking it too much, and they're trying to say they did all these things and it adds up to a good movie, but it doesn't add up to a good movie. For me, it was very disappointing, and it didn't take me anywhere.
Well, you said before you didn't even necessarily like the first movie all that much. It didn't really strike you as that?
What was charming about it was its oddness and how it didn't seem to be of its time. This movie is very much of its time. This is exactly what you'd expect out of Tim Burton in a big-budget movie, and Johnny Depp in a kind of a weird role, and it just, I don't know. It was underwhelming for sure.
Well, you've definitely got a burr up your ass, and I have no idea why. But I thought it was great. I liked the original story. I thought this movie took what the original movie did, which is a little bit, I think it was a little bit mired in like the 60s psychedelic kind of imagery that, you know, fits the story. But I think back then they treated it with a little bit of like I remember going to Epcot Center and being on a ride and thinking, wow, this looks like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And it was just like old, antiquated, you know, animatic puppets.
Have you been on the E.T. ride at Universal's Orlando?
Yeah.
That's hot, where you're on the bikes, and you're like, E.T.'s are, Yeah, it's kind of like that.
But now, this, for me, was an update, and Tim Burton, visually, there's just nobody who does visual, you know, stylized, you know, things like Tim Burton does. Yeah.
Well, it's
but
just...
No, it was great. Whatever. I think it was fabulous. The Freddie Highmore from Finding Neverland was awesome.
He was really good. Yeah.
You know, and there's just, I think you're overestimating what this is supposed to do for you. I mean, it really is a pretty simple story with very simple characters who go to a magical place, and then there's it. But in this one, there's actually a little bit of extra kick at the end. Instead of it's just like the Charlie floats off and he's happy and everything's fine. Now there's a little bit of backstory that draws it together, and there's sort of an implied future where, you know, this kid and his family now have a new future, and Willy Wonka, who's never really had a heart. It's sort of, you know, Wizard of Ozzy a little bit. Like Willy Wonka went out and got a heart after, you know, his childhood was kind of mucked up. I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was great.
So Johnny Depp was good as the Tin Man? He was good?
Johnny Depp was great. I thought from the previews that he was going to, the green skin, weird, all that stuff. I didn't like it at all in the previews, and I wasn't even sure halfway through the movie if I was into it. But by the time it wrapped up and the story finished, I really thought it was cool. And it played much better than I thought it was going to as far as his choices.
I thought it kind of dragged. It didn't ever really go anywhere. It was like scene after scene of trying to do something and not succeeding. But for a lot of people out there, especially the fans of the original movie, did you like this one better or the old one better, since everyone knows that you like the first one so much?
I never said I liked the first one so much.
But, shit!
But I like Gene Wilder in the first movie.
In private, JD's told me how much he likes it.
In private, I like Gene Wilder. I mean, in private.
Like Gene Wilder in private.
When I'm home alone.
Behind closed doors.
I like Gene Wilder. No, I like Gene Wilder's performance in the first movie enough that I was a big fan of it. I think this is a better movie. Sans the Oompa Loompa production numbers, which I just thought were silly and over the top. But I thought it was great. It was a retelling of the story, and I thought it worked very, very well.
Well, for me, it's not a workable movie. I think it's a couple of great music videos and a couple good scenes with Christopher Lee and Johnny Depp. I'm giving this a rock fist down.
It's like you got a tortilla caught in your throat, didn't you? Like it just never, like this would just never hit you right.
I don't feel comfortable.
For me, it's a rock fist up. It's great. It's a good time. If you like the first one, you're gonna like this one. There's more for you. It looks better. It's interesting. Johnny Depp is not Gene Wilder, but he's still really good, and I liked it a lot. So rock fist up.
Don't believe the hype.